It's the greatest sports talk, the greatest Cub sports talk this side of Wrigley Field. This is Cubfidential. So it's another late evening, and I am your producer, Denzel Snipes, and we have a packed show for you. It's going to be a bit of a one-on-one, but it's all great because it's still loaded and packed for you. If you haven't already, please hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button to Sideline Sports, because as you have just seen across this big broad screen of yours, is we have a plethora of shows and the lineup is real. So most definitely hit the subscribe button and check us out, because we got content coming to you every single day, as well as special events. The team just covered the Super Bowl, so feel free to go and look at that and see how real moves we are making in 2023. But without further ado, I want to bring in the host of Cubfidential. We can go ahead and get this ball rolling. Come on here, Mountain Man JB Ellis.
What's going on? So I don't know about anybody else, but I'm over spring training already. I'm over the pitch clock. I'm over these new rules. Baseball is not baseball anymore. Let's talk about our team, the Cubs, with Mr. Ubbs himself. He's going to join me. We're going to have a little one-on-one conversation this evening. So, Mr. Ubbs, welcome to the program.
Well, not bad. I can say this right now. I beat the pitch clock. So that's a good thing. You know, we did the other game. I'm not kidding you. A game against I believe it was like the Padres or whatever. The game literally started on a 1-1 count because both teams literally missed the clock, the hitter and the pitcher.
It's so stupid. It's killing baseball already. I've lost interest. I don't like it. But let's talk about something more important. Let's talk about Seiya Suzuki with his oblique strain. So what's the prognosis right now for Seiya?
It's early in. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about spring training. It's early in. Here's the deal. In truth, he is one of the stars of the team. And you got to remember, last year they tried pitching Kyle Hendricks through his, and then once they were a bad team, they just finished him up. He probably, if he was really as bad as it was, where he had surgery, that he had, and then he still finally got onto the mound for the first time about 2 days ago. If it was that bad, they don't want Seiya Suzuki in the same part, so they're probably just resting him early. He probably won't play much this preseason at all.
I don't know. All I know is hearing his name, I hear like the song Seiya Suzuki. That should be like his music.
Yeah, right.
Hook it up. But I don't know. I think to me, I wonder if this is an injury of just not being prepared for the season, not having the proper workout in the off season, where you're tight and you strain your oblique really quick in the spring training. But Seiya, from what I know, he's a hard worker. So I'm going to assume that's not the case, but to me, that's kind of what it sounds like. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. One of the things is this is not the spring trainings of past. Like you would have Sparky Lyle, any of the pitchers we could talk from the day, those types, they literally would get all kinds of calcium deposits in their elbow and they just pitch them out. That was what preseason was for, is to hear the pops out of the it's not that way anymore, though. It's not that way anymore. It's like you got to. Everybody works out and they train 24/7 now for the season, outside maybe 2 weeks for vacation. So it could be improper stretching. It could be that. It's like even though you're supposed to be stretching on the thing at all time, and you got to remember he's a Japanese player. They are stretching monsters. So it could easily just be bad luck. Also, who knows?
Yeah. Now I'm going to stay with Seiya right now, since he's resting and healing with the oblique strain. Came out in the news late last week that he invited his fellow countryman Shohei Ohtani to join the Cubs when he becomes a free agent next year. First, I'm gonna do a couple of questions with this before I let you go all about it. A, would you want Ohtani on the Cubs?
As far as the star level, that's awesome. That'd be an awesome deal, especially that's the big thing is the Cubs, like I said, since Dusty Baker, they've gotten all kinds of different stars, so it'd be great. As far as realistic goes, One of the problems with that is the fact that him getting injured takes up 2 spots. And remember, we're talking injuries now, and they don't let anybody tough out injuries anymore. So with an IL, there's not disabled list anymore. The IL, that's 2 spots off. So you have to replace those 2 spots, and that's a tough part. Plus, he's going to take $500 million at least.
Right. So that's my next question. Do the Ricketts want to put out that type of money to bring a guy of Ohtani's stature over to the friendly confine?
I don't think anyone would mind, except for the fact that Manny Machado, we talked about this on our last shows. Manny Machado opted out with 4 years, with four years out of 10. And of course, he re-signed and got himself a non-opt-out agreement. But one of the biggest deals is, the Ricketts are going to wonder, is he going to do the same thing? Is he going to want something later? And then knowing the Cubs, they end up losing him. Right. So there's a lot of things you got to think forward on. Like, how much would this be? I mean, by the way, do you risk? I mean, if he plays 162, if he pitches 40 games, he's a superhuman. And fine, then that's awesome. And then you've got him, and he's going to hit his 45 homers. Issue is he will get hurt sometimes. And that's going to take up 2 spots. Let's see, the contract is going to be outrageous. So you got to see what you're going to be doing. Will he stick with it? Mind you, he'll bring the people in. He'll bring them in. But you don't need a lot of help to bring people to Wrigley Field. It's just classic. It's not the old time anymore.
Yeah, it's not, signing him isn't about bringing people in. Wrigley Field is done. You're going to bring people. But is he enough to help the Cubs with their young core become a team to fear and a championship contender? Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. It depends. It's like, are you looking for, what kind of hitters are you looking for? Are you looking for more power? Absolutely he is. That's 45, 50 homers. Are you looking for more, are you a line drive, all that kind of stuff hitter? Or a more consistent hitter? He's like, his biggest average, like 267 or something. He's not a real, he also strikes out a ton. He doesn't hit the 300. I'm sorry with the thing, I like a consistent hitter myself. But if the Cubs need power at the time that they need it, like right now they've got Dansby, which I love Dansby Swanson. I like that power. If they need more power, then absolutely. But if they need more consistent hitters, no.
Okay. So speaking of hitting, let's go to our Cub or Dud. Cub or Dud? Trey Mancini, 20 or more home runs. What do you think? Is he getting to the 20 mark?
Where does he hit? That's what I'm asking. Where will he hit?
So here's the answer to that question. Who's the manager?
Ross. So it can be all 9 spots.
Exactly. He'll hit all over. We already know that because Ross doesn't believe in having a consistent lineup. So assume he's going to bat anywhere from 2nd to 8th on a daily basis.
Well, we could say that absolutely. I mean, we can say that absolutely. But I'll say this: if consistently he'd be behind Dansby, yep. I mean, if he's lower down the lineup or just anyway, or away from him, at least with a couple spots away from him, no.
So I'm going to save our most controversial topic for last. This is actually going to be one of the quickest Cubfidentials in Cubfidential in Cub for history. Let's talk about our hot Cub time machine. Game 4, 2015 NLCS. Schwarber hits an amazing insurance home run, and basically sends the Cubs to the NLCS. Tell us about that moment.
Oh my Lord. That was you love when you beat your rivals. They beat the Cardinals and they beat their drum by so much power. And then that home run on the top of the sign. That was like 475, 480, something along those, some insane number. And it just ignited everybody. It was fun to watch. But see, they were hitting home runs like crazy that whole time, that whole series. They got to the Mets and just lost it all. And that's what happens when you don't have – see, that's why they won the World Series the next year. Consistent hitting all over the place, all different types of hitting. See, against the Cardinals, they hit nothing but home runs. Against the Mets, they struck out all the time. So it's like you got to have a certain level of consistency, to your hitting, and it's like you can't just do it putting all your eggs in one basket. And that series showed it, but it was fun to watch while it lasted.
All right, so our last topic in this brief 15-minute show tonight. Some guy named Wilson Contreras. You may have heard of him.
Of course.
He played for the Cubs for a while. He says that the Cardinals are a better organization. Since he's been there, they're doing things the Cardinals way, and that's the right way. Is he wrong?
Unfortunately not. I mean, remember, I've been a Cubs fan all my life. It's like, but see, the Cardinals, I think they had their last 90-loss season 30 years ago. It's like loving to see the Cubs win the World Series was beautiful in my lifetime. But my lifetime also saw the most winning of any Cubs organization. I started my career, they got to the first playoffs in 39 years. So I've seen many division titles. I've seen many playoffs myself in my lifetime since '84. But what happens in the midst of it, there's tons of losing, tons of it. And what the Cardinals do? They're always around. And that's what I want the Cubs to be. That's what I want the Bears to be, like the Packers are. That's what I talk about. I can't hate my rivals, because that would mean that I'm going to hate that I would hate what I want. I want to see the Cubs, even if they're not going to win the World Series every year, just have that shot. I don't want to see what we saw last year, maybe the last couple of years. I don't want to see that. I don't want a constant rebuild. I always want to retool every time and give yourself a shot. Go ahead.
So the question is, Contreras, who was a beloved, probably the most beloved Cub, if not top three, say. Mm-hmm. To say that when he comes back to Wrigley, what's the reception going to be like?
Booing, there's no question. But there's no question about that. People are always going to use their emotions. They're always going to use their emotions to take that as what the fans do, which drives me nuts sometimes, but neither here nor there. But that's but the biggest thing that he saw, he gets to see it up front when the Cardinals were wiping the Cubs for years, outside of the playoffs and outside of those times. The Cubs win the World Series. They wiped them loose, and it's like, and he got to see it. Now he's in the clubhouse. Now he's seeing everything, the training, the everything, the consistency, year after year, the fans. He sees every ounce of this. So saying with a better organization, he's seen an organization that they don't lose 90 games ever. And he's seeing that. And it's like, and he knows that they have a chance at another playoffs because that's what they do. And there are not a lot of organizations that say that. So yeah, better organization, unfortunately. But for the Cubs to get there, to avoid that type of thing, they need to take something from that and just start staying consistent and not try to. And if you can get to the World Series every year, that'd be an awesome bonus. But just be around.
Yeah, I just don't think there was any need for him to make that statement. Any casual fan of baseball knows that the Cardinal organization has had much greater success over the last couple of decades. Mm-hmm. You were a beloved son of Chicago when you were there. It was, nobody wanted to see you go. You went to a rival, and to make that comment was, there was no purpose to it. I think any true fan would agree with him, but sometimes the best things are left unsaid.
And that's true. And it's probably to build the rivalry up. It's a show. There's a show to it in the end. And when it's all over with and be 45 years old, and when he'll be whatever, and his time is over, he'll get his cheers back from the Cubs again, because a lot of those, he'll get his cheers from the back because a lot of those the fans have grown up and just be able to see that, and they'll do it. So he'll get that. But it wasn't need to be said, probably not. But is he wrong? Not really, because I would kill for that consistency every year.
I agree. So Jacob, we're done. I've had enough. I'm walking off the set after talking about Contreras, because he just annoyed me. Jay, end the show. End it right now. We're not even talking no more. Hit end.